Okay. It is 6 o'clock on January 19th, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. And let's have a pledge of allegiance. I don't think we have to for electors. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Clerk Treasurer Loaf, have we met compliance for open meeting law?
Yes.
Okay. Couple of comments before we get started. This is a special meeting of the electors, so everybody does get to speak if you care to. We are going to adhere to a 4-minute conversation from everyone like we did at the annual meeting in April. Also, there were 3 points I was just going to go through. There were some questions that I fielded today, and I thought this might be a good thing to let everybody know. We currently have 2 positions. It was a clerk treasurer and a deputy clerk treasurer. We're moving to 2 positions if we choose to separate and create a clerk and a treasurer. The compensation, there was some comments about that. Our current compensation for those 2 positions are somewhere around $135,000 without benefits, about $220,000 with benefits, and we're expecting to be somewhere south of that, probably in $120,000, $125,000 range. So there is a net positive to the budget. It's not we're not adding a head count. One other feature to this that should be understood is with regard to reporting structure, if you have a clerk treasurer, they are the only one that gets to appoint the deputy clerk. So the clerk treasurer has the authority over that. The board has authority whether to pay them or not. So it's kind of like Congress in Washington, the same kind of thing. If we separate the 2 roles, the board now appoints both the clerk and the treasurer. And the other last thing that would be important for you to know is if we all of these positions can be appointed from outside our town of East Troy. If this were to go elected, then it would only be town of East Troy. And I think those are the only details I ran across. Any other thoughts, details at this point?
I did look up some data on the Wisconsin Towns Association. It did not say what year the data was from, but it said there's about 1,249 towns in the state of Wisconsin. They weren't able to account for all of them, but they said approximately 800 to 875, or 800 have a clerk treasurer. 800 have a clerk, an elected clerk, and 240 have an appointed clerk, so about 1,000. And similarly on the treasurer role, 875 are elected and 165 are appointed. And there's only about a total of 230 that have the combined clerk treasurer. So again, it didn't say what year that was, but a big difference in the numbers.
The one last thing, we had someone send in a email. Do you want to take care of that now?
I would wait until you get to the motion and discussion.
The motion, okay, we'll wait till that point. I think that's everything. We can open it up for discussion.
Well, we need a roll call.
I was told we don't.
Okay. Not there.
Wow.
Make a
So I'll make a motion to approve separating the current appointed town clerk / treasurer position to allow for the appointment of a town clerk and the appointment of a separate treasurer. Then anyone, and the electors are on the board, can second, okay?
So now we can have discussion, I guess. I was gonna wait and have discussion and then do the motion, depending on where it went, but this works too. So, anybody have commentary to offer?
I have a question to start. Ms. Lode, now that you have become so immersed in the town's clerk treasurer roles, what do you see as the best organizational structure for the town of East Troy? Second, how do you see yourself fitting into that new organizational structure, and what job do you see yourself having?
So with the resignation of Clerk Treasurer Buchanan, I think it is a good time to separate the roles to allow for more checks and balances within the town. I think it decentralizes from one person handling payables, receivables, and all aspects of town business in large part. And as far as my role, I came into the job being the deputy clerk treasurer, no aspirations to move beyond that. However, if there is a separation, I would be willing to accept the treasurer position if the board would so choose me to do that. And then maintain the other roles that I currently hold as police clerk and sanitary district clerk.
Okay, thank you for your opinion, please.
Are you,
At the moment,
okay?
yes.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am?
Want me to go up there?
You
can
probably. We don't
It
need the
doesn't matter.
recording.
Oh,
We're not gonna pick up the recording if you don't go up there, I suppose.
Okay. I'm Beth Lanham, you need my address and all that stuff.
Yep, you need to state your name and address. Beth Lanham.
Beth Lanham, W1544 South Shore Drive. I have a lot, I went through all the stuff that was on the postings, and I have several questions. Overall, I'm not opposed to separating the positions, but I do have a lot of questions. I don't think I agree with cross-training both positions to cover for each other. It looks like the job descriptions are full for each position. I think in any office, you help each other and you learn a little bit, but I think it would be duplicative to cross-train everybody, and financially would cost us some money. And I think both positions are enough in and of themselves. I did wonder if the sanitation district, I don't know much about what that oversight is and whether that could be moved to Jen maybe to take that off the plate of the clerk. And then my other questions were in the treasurer job description, there's a typo in there. It looks like maybe this copy came from the town of Delavan. Under essential duties number 2, it says town of Delavan. And I think it's a good job description, but Delavan has 9,000 residents according to Google, and that's more than 2 times the size of us. So I think their responsibilities would be greater. I also wondered about number 12 under the town treasurer. They talk about being a member of a number of committees, finance committee, administrative committee, emergency government management team. I don't think we have any of those committees.
Right.
So that would need to be changed a little bit. The job descriptions talk about computer oversight. I think that could be done by one person. Obviously, you have to know your own computer systems. I'm glad to hear that the deputy clerk position would disappear. It sounds like there would not be one of those. And then I wondered about, it's not clear to me how these job descriptions differ from what they were doing. I don't know whether there were old job descriptions, are these expanded? If there weren't old job descriptions, there certainly must have been a list of what they did, so it's unclear to me how much of this is new responsibility and how much of this isn't. You also talk a lot about the purpose of this is to avoid the appearance or the ability of someone to be fraudulent or, well, it says there several times that it's to the separation of the clerk and the treasurer would be to hold people accountable and prevent fraud and that sort of thing. I don't know whether we've had fraud in the past. I've never seen any evidence of that, and it's heavily slanted that way in a couple of these paragraphs. So I thought that that was maybe a little overboard from what we needed. And I think that was like I said, I would be supportive of separating them, but I think we need a little bit more information about whether these are expanded jobs from what they had been, and I don't agree with cross-training everybody. I think that's not necessary.
That's time, Beth.
Do we try and address them? Is that how this works with an electors meeting,
No,
or
they just keep talking.
just what?
They just keep commenting.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, sir.
Could I speak?
Sure.
John Stokes, North 31 Stringers Bridge Road. I'd like to add a few points to the reason why we should split the two positions up. With the positions split up, both positions are responsible to the full town board. Right now, the deputy clerk is only responsible to the town clerk. Okay, right now, the town clerk does not have anyone in office overseeing that all the town's clerk work is getting done. Authority and structure. The clerk treasurer is appointed by the town board. The clerk treasurer has the power to select their deputy. This sets up the means for the clerk treasurer to effectively control staffing for a crucial administrative office, raising questions about accountability and oversight. A key point, separating the clerk and treasurer positions would allow for the town board to appoint both positions to give them full control. Specialization and talent pool, separating the clerk and the treasurer roles expands the candidate pool and allows each position to develop focused expertise. Stronger internal controls. Role separation reduces risk of errors, fraud, and audit findings while strengthening financial accountability. Improved compliance. District rules support compliance with state statutes and audit standards and finance and accounting principles. Clear responsibility and transparency. Defined duties, reduce overlap, improving efficiency and enhancing public trust. Sustainability and continuity. Reduced workload and burnout, improved overage during vacancies, better position for growth, and mandatory cross-training for backup support. A good example right now would be Clerk Buchanan decided to retire, and right now Deputy Clerk is filling in, trying to get everything caught up to speed. I've heard that she's been working some long extended hours trying to get that unraveled. I think it would be a good idea to be able to have both staff in the office be able to cover for each other so we don't have any problems like this. If somebody gets hurt, accidental healthcare issues, or retires and moves on. Thank you.
I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly, Kim became ill for a
You want to
period of
name,
time.
state your name and address, please?
Oh, Carla Georgie, North 8590 Stringers Bridge Road. And Kim had become ill for quite a while, and everybody was scrambling around trying to figure out exactly what should be done and how it should be done. So I think it's real important that you should have some cross-training to jump in when those things like that happen. It's a small staff, and you lose one person that does majority of everything, you're gonna get yourself in trouble. So that's just my opinion.
Anyone else?
Larry Byer, N7264 Coble Road.
Can you stand up, Larry?
If you don't have cross training and one of the clerk or the treasurer gets sick, who does the job?
Right.
So almost seems necessary. That's all.
Yes, sir.
Simple, thanks, Larry.
I'm a simple man.
Chris Trevitosky, North 9270 East Shore Road for right now, hopefully not too long, West 1604 County Trump J. I'm going to speak in favor of this separation, and I think we're in a kind of a unique situation here because we're in a period of time in the town right now where there's a high level of stress within the town because we have the retirement of the old clerk treasurer, which is difficult, but it also provides opportunity. And the opportunity here is to do things that have short-term financial benefit and long-term financial benefit for the town. And what do I mean by that? Well, for as far back as I can find audit reports of the town, there's been criticism of the lack of ability within the town itself for checks and balances to be in place. So the idea that somehow combining these roles is good for the town is really not the case, because if the town cannot obtain a clean audit, then the town has to go to banks to borrow money, which over the long term will be more expensive than if the town could go to the bond market, which it will never be able to do unless there's internal structural controls like this. So the idea that it eliminates fraud or waste is really an accounting concept, not accusing anybody of any particular wrongdoing, but rather providing the safety net required to meet the provisions of GAAP. The second thing is that the separation of jobs allows specialty skill sets to be developed. You don't have people pulled in many directions all at the same time. So they can become specialists at what they are, which then allows for the cross-training to take place without it dominating the role of cross-training. And the benefit of that is that it avoids disruption in government if somebody retires or leaves or gets a better job. And I've run 2 businesses, and I always say the person I want to hire and have working for me are the people that can walk right out the door and get a better job somewhere else. And I hope they do, because that means that I did a good job training them. So, with respect to that, I'd have to just say I want to take a moment, because I got an email from Clerk Treasurer Loth at 4:30 on a Sunday afternoon in response to a question I had. That's a really unreasonable expectation to have for anybody in her role. And it's amazing that I got that, and I just want to say that I think that that is truly speaks to the quality of employees that we have here and what we should strive for here. Bottom line, in a lot of situations, is money. This has short-term financial benefits, maybe as much as $100,000. And it has long-term financial benefits because it gives the town board opportunities to restructure debt, to bring costs under control if necessary. And it also provides the town.
Stop.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, W2109 Sewell Road. We keep talking about cross-training these positions. That's essentially what we have now. You have the clerk treasurer and then a deputy clerk treasurer. Same as your fire chief and assistant fire chief. Same as your police chief and police lieutenants. By separating the roles, you're describing 2 separate positions, but yet you're still saying cross-train them. Doesn't make any sense. Do we want them cross-trained? Okay. We have our deputy clerk treasurer and our clerk treasurer. or do we not? In essence, the clerk treasurer should appoint her deputy clerk treasurer, the same as a police chief appoints his staff, the same as the fire chief appoints their staff, hires their staff. It's the same concept. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Brian Fines, from 8680 Willis Grove Road. I appreciate you clarifying the fact of how many positions this would be. There was some confusion about that. Also about the impact on the budget, because it's gonna be a long-term thing. So those were some of the questions that I had. I'm sure a lot of other people had that I didn't really pick up in the packet. In general, the rationale for doing this is good. I think it makes a lot of sense. And my main concern was just the long-term implications and impact on the budget itself. So I think you clarified that. It seems like you're assuring the citizens that this isn't going to be a major increase in budget or cost to the town. All right.
That's why I addressed what I did, because I heard a bunch of comments on that one, on this topic, so.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I guess if no one else has a comment, I'd like to just talk about my rationale. So, yeah, I like the idea of separating the clerk and the treasurer. I think we can see from the hours that the team have even been putting in before the resignation of clerk treasurer Buchanan, that there's a lot of work to be done, and they're trying to do everything and then getting distracted and pulled away. I think the separation of duties will help clarify their roles. It'll give them an opportunity to document the responsibilities, the processes and procedures, which we do not have today. I think there's very limited documentation after years and years of existence. It allows them to specialize, but then in any office, when someone's out for vacation or if they're out sick, whoever's in the office has to cover for them, right? So you do need to have an awareness of how things work. They have the documented procedures so you can pick it up, and then you just need access to the tools that they work with as someone is out of the office. So I think it's a long-term benefit, definitely hoping with the focus, then we won't have all of the additional hours and comp time that happen today because they're always distracted and multitasking and not focused in one area. And like, I think Mr. Trebetowski said, the audit findings also are another reason to be splitting the two roles. While it may not result in less audits, but it'll still hopefully resolve one finding that we get.
I just have one question. Has there been any discussion?
Can you state your name and address, please?
Chad Wales, W2070 Beulah Heights Road. Was there been any discussion that the team that is very grateful, by the way, for what you ladies are doing, about somebody even hiring as a temporary or an agency to like help you guys a little bit get on track, or, you know?
We talked about it.
To give them some help?
She has some help that she's brought in.
Oh, okay.
Not necessarily clerk level help, but the other reason for holding this meeting so quickly was and you notice there was a job posting in there. The idea is if we're able to do this, then let's get the post out and get somebody in as soon as possible, because you can train somebody temporary or you can train somebody permanent, and so we're trying to move quickly here.
Or even just a type of company where they can come in and help just get it set up to two new positions, helping any questions, you know, on a temporary basis. Just because I can appreciate it when you say you're sending emails at 4:30 on a Sunday, you know, and then a discussion that was made for burnout, because we all know it's a real thing, you know, so even if it's a temporary basis, maybe something to look into to try to help them speed up to get up to speed, but just a thought.
Duly noted. The one thing I wanted to address, a comment you brought up. Until December, we had one seat of business system software. There was no business system training that was going on other than with the clerk treasurer. As of December, we have purchased a second seat, and the way the clerk and treasurer are supposed to work is the clerk validates incoming bills, make sure that it meets, the work was performed and it meets the price and everything, and then that gets entered in the business system, and then the treasurer would then pay that bill. And so that's the balance, the way the two positions are intended to work together. So they will both be in the business system at that point, and there will be some knowledge of how to do each other's job. Will they be able to do, one of the points I think that was clear to me is a clerk, if you separate them, the clerk cannot sign a check. Only the treasurer can sign the check, and then we have, three other board members that can also sign those checks. So there are some responsibilities that are segregated, but there's a lot of opportunity to be able to pull both positions into more of a support role to each other. I don't know if that answers a few of your questions, but any other comments, thoughts?
Call the question, Mr. Chairman.
So you want to take the vote?
I'd like paper ballot.
Yeah. Oh.
I didn't prepare paper ballots for tonight. I didn't expect such a full house, so we're gonna do a standing vote. If you're gonna stand on the yay and then stand on the nay.
Well, my request is for a paper ballot to assure the legitimacy of the residents.
I can certainly prepare them.
Just member of the electorate, that's
Yeah,
how it normally
no.
goes.
I can do that if we wanna pause the meeting.
Okay, so just put it on hold right now. And, I think it's an electorate. I don't think anybody would call that. Pretty sure she wouldn't.
Can we do an initial show of hands to see if it's even votes?
Yeah. If you want to do an initial show of hands to just see if.
Well, we can't, Dean's gone, I was gonna
We've
go help
already
her.
decided
Well, you
to
could
go
do
with
both,
paper
so you
ballot.
could see how we're cutting paper.
Cross training.
Excuse me.
At the end of this, we're going to do, I just wanted to, if we're going
Just as a point of reference, we did a quick search. Chapter 60.1 and 60.14. Hello? Chapter 60.1 and 60.14 state statutes would indicate that it is not automatically required just because of a single request. So we're trying to understand this. The meeting chairperson has the discretion to order a written ballot, or the electors present can vote to require one. So my thought is just do a vote. Hand vote to see.
So, show of hands, who is in favor of a written ballot?
Do we need a motion for that, or is it just,
The chairperson can call for the electors to vote, to require a
That's what I
written
just-
vote or not. So it's not a motion, it's just, we have a call on the floor to have a written ballot. Just because there's one person asking for it doesn't mean we have to do that. We can take a vote of everyone here if you feel it is required to have a written vote.
4 people raised their hand right there.
So we're asking
Right.
for everyone who
So-
wants a written vote to please raise your hand. How many did you count? I counted.
She counted 13.
So did I. I counted 13. Those who do not require a written vote.
On this question.
A written vote.
Just
Yes.
on this,
Paper ballot.
well, it's the only topic in the meeting, for the most part.
Can you put your hand back?
Need to count again, or?
Did you get 27? I'll take it.
I got 27.
Okay, got
Okay.
it. Okay, all right.
So that says we're not gonna have a written ballot.
What was the vote?
1327, nay.
So,
If I could ask the acting clerk treasurer, residency.
I,
Vouching?
I
Residents?
I read the sign-in sheet. That is an official log, that if anyone falsified it, then there will be, I mean, we can contact the police department.
Are there 40 names on it?
I believe so. What did you get for a count, Jen?
Yeah.
there would be 40.
Jen, do you want to?
There wouldn't be 40 because the board doesn't sign on.
Right. The board.
So it might be 35.
And Jen and Jean,
He just grabbed
33.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
33.
There are 42 signed in. 41, someone crossed off.
Excuse me, what was the vote again?
26 and 15. So 41.
Oh, 27,
27 to
13.
No, no, she's talking about.
I'm counting
Oh,
on here.
the sign, yeah.
So a couple people didn't vote. So the sign-in sheets indicate that there are 26 and 15, so that's 41 electors present.
Well, she didn't vote because she's not a resident here. Yeah.
Okay,
Understood.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
All right.
signing in.
So
So now we have a motion and a second
we have a motion and a second, so,
to separate.
and we'll take an initial vote here and we'll do a count if we need to.
Do you prefer to do it by standing or hands or?
Standing is easier, but,
Okay.
and I think it's easier for people to just stand up than sitting like this.
Okay.
Okay, so all in favor of approving the motion to appoint a separate clerk and a separate treasurer, please stand.
You want to get the back two rows, Jen, and I'll get the... $30, $31, $32.
$32.
Did you count the board?
I did.
And those opposed?
So all of those opposed, please stand.
Virginia?
I saw
Yes,
seven.
I think the gentleman.
Oh, 8. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so the motion passes
32 to 8.
32 to 8. Thanks for everyone's time.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.